planes of stars and stripes. History's alive with a jazzy hype. Drawing proud, swinging loud. Tales of freedom in a red, white crowd. From the decks to the sky to the Liberty Bell. He's telling America's story so well. Aircraft soaring through a smoky scene. Battleships cruising in a starry gleam. He draws the emblems bold and true. With every stroke that Old Glory flew. Who's that man with the Constitution plan? That's the guy with the freedom in his hand. Presidents pose, eagles fly. He brings them back with a winking in his eye. Drawing proud, swinging free, turning pages of our history. Every line a legacy groove. He's got that patriotic move. He's not just drawing, he's bringing you in to battles, debates, and American wins. With marker and style, he makes you feel the pulse of the past that's alive and real. Drawing proud, swinging high, like an eagle in a freedom sky. Stars in the corner, truth in the frame. He's drawing our pride with American flame. He's got that marker in hand and a flag in heart, sketching out the soul of a nation's art. Ships and planes of stars and stripes. History's alive with a jazzy hype. Drawing proud, swinging loud. Tales of freedom in a red, white crowd. From the decks to the sky to the Liberty Bell. He's telling America's story so well. Aircraft soaring through a smoky scene. Battleships cruising in a starry gleam. He draws the emblems bold and true. With every stroke that Old Glory flew. Who's that man with...
How y'all folks doing this fine day? It's Gator here at the Cable Company. I'm so glad you stopped in to see me today. Today we're going over the Second Amendment. The Second Amendment to the United States Constitution protects the right to keep and bear arms. It was ratified on December 15, 1791, along with 9 other articles of the United States Bill of Rights. In the District of Columbia versus Heller in 2008, the Supreme Court affirmed that the right belongs to the individuals for self-defense in the home, while also including a dicta that the right is not unlimited and does not preclude the existence of certain long-standing prohibitions, such as those prohibiting the possession of a firearm by felons, and the mentally ill, or restrictions on the carry of dangerous and unusual weapons. Okay, let me make a point right here. I don't usually put my opinion into it when I'm doing this, but this is something that's important to me, and it's about my channel. Okay, now let me ask you something. Okay, you heard what that just said, Second Amendment. Okay, the Second Amendment, a felon. Okay, you know what a felon is, right? Everybody knows what a felon is, because they put it in your brain, they put it in your brain, they put it in your brain. All right, now look here. If you got a felon, okay, now when you go to court, or let's just say you go to court, okay, we got the court system, okay? All right, you got the court system. All right, and you go and you see the judge up there. Okay, you know, when the judge says, okay, you're guilty, all right, then you're guilty of a crime, okay? Now, on the Fifth Amendment, we got the Fifth Amendment, okay? Now, the Fifth Amendment, let's see that one, okay? What does the Fifth Amendment say? The double jeopardy has a clause in there that you can't have double jeopardy, okay? You can't have double jeopardy. Okay, now that means of life or limb. So you can't be charged with the same crime over and over again. Well, that's how they get a convicted felon. Do you understand my point I'm making? What does it say here? The Supreme Court, the The Supreme Court affirmed that the rights belong to individuals to self-defense in a home. Well, you have it everywhere you go. When it says the Second Amendment, that word right there infringed. Okay, that word there in the word infringed means, what does it mean? You gotta go get a license. No, you don't need a license. Okay, let's go on, okay? That the right is not unlimited and does not preclude the existence of certain long-standing prohibitions. Okay, such as those forbidding the possession of a firearm by felons and the mentally ill. Well, this right here, felon controls a person. Well, if they do a crime, if the court releases you from your charge, you go to prison, you're on parole, probation, whatever it is, when the court releases you, in order to stand by the Second Amendment, what they take an oath to, then this is no longer, the felon is no longer. Do you understand that? You understand what I'm saying? We say, oh, hey, you got hoops you got to jump through. No, when the court releases you, you're a free person. We have a three law violation law anyway. Okay, let's move on. Or it says that the carrying of dangerous and unusual weapons. In McDonald versus City of Chicago in 2010, the Supreme Court ruled that state and local governments are limited to the same extent as the federal government from infringing upon this right. New York State Rifle and Pistol Association Incorporated versus Bruin in 2022 assured the right to carry weapons in public spaces with reasonable exceptions. They got signs everywhere now. You go in every business around here and it says got a gun and they got an X through it. Look and see if you see any of those. The Second Amendment was based partially on the right to keep and bear arms in English common law and was influenced by English Bill of Rights in 1689. Sir William Blackstone described this right as an auxiliary right, supporting the natural rights of self-defense and resistance to oppression, and the civic duty to act in concert in defense of the state. While both James Monroe and John Adams supported the Constitution being ratified, its most influential framer was James Madison. In Federalist Number 46, Madison wrote how a federal army could be kept in check by the militia. A standing army would be opposed by a militia. He argued that state governments would be able to repel the danger of a federal army. It may well be doubted whether a militia thus circumstanced could ever be conquered by such a proportion of regular troops. He contrasted the federal government of the United States to the European kingdoms, which he described as afraid to trust the people with arms, and assured that the existence of subordinate governments forms a barrier against the enterprises of ambition. By January 1788, Delaware, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Georgia, and Connecticut ratified the Constitution. Georgia, without insisting upon amendments. Several amendments were proposed but were not adopted at the time the Constitution was ratified. For example, Pennsylvania's convention debated 15 amendments, one of which concerned the right of the people to be armed, another with the militia. The Massachusetts Convention also ratified the Constitution with an attached list of proposed amendments. In the end, the ratification convention was so evenly divided between those for and against the Constitution that the Federalists agreed to the Bill of Rights to ensure ratification. In the United States versus Cruikshank, 1876, the Supreme Court ruled that the right to bear arms is not granted by the Constitution. Neither is it any manner dependent upon that instrument for its existence. The Second Amendment means no more than it shall not be infringed by Congress, and has no other effect than to restrict the powers of the national government. In United States versus Miller in 1939, the Supreme Court ruled that the Second Amendment did not protect weapons types not having a reasonable relationship to preservation of efficiency of well-regulated militia. In the 21st century, the amendment has been subjected to renewed academic inquiry and judicial interest. In the District of Columbia versus Heller in 2008, the Supreme Court handed down a landmark decision that held the amendment protects as an individual right to keep a gun for self-defense. This was the first time the court had ruled that the Second Amendment guarantees an individual's right to own a gun. In McDonald versus Chicago in 2010, the Supreme Court clarified that the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment incorporated in the Second Amendment against state and local governments. In Cantino versus Massachusetts in 2016, the Supreme Court reiterated its earlier ruling that the Second Amendment extends prima facie to all instruments that constitute bearable arms, even those that were not in existence at the time of the founding, and that the protection is not limited only to firearms, nor only those weapons useful in warfare. In addition to affirming the right to carry firearms in public, New York State Rifle and Pistol Association Incorporated versus Bruin in 2022 created a new test that laws seeking to limit Second Amendment rights must be based on the history and tradition of gun rights. Although the test was refined to focus on similar analogs and general principles rather than strict matches. From the past, in the United States versus Ramy 2024, the debate between various organizations regarding gun control and gun rights continues. There are several versions of the text of the Second Amendment, each with capitalizations or punctuation differences. Differences exist between the versions passed by Congress and put on display and the versions ratified by the states. These differences have been a focus of debate regarding the meaning of the amendment, particularly regarding the importance of what the courts have called the prefatory clause. The final handwritten original of the Bill of Rights has passed by Congress, with the rest of the original prepared by scribe William Lambert, is preserved in the National Archives. This is the version ratified by Delaware and used by the Supreme Court in District of Columbia versus Heller. A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people and keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Well, there you go, people. This is when I was growing up. Let me tell you a story. When I was growing up, my God bless my daddy, soul rest his soul. Okay, military, all our family military. Okay, the Second Amendment, it keeps it from being taken over. Okay, we have to keep secure the state. They agreed with the militia, but everybody's in the militia. They said, you're a poop, you're it. You're in the militia. Back then it was men. If you're a man, you turn 13 years old, you old enough. Okay, you're old enough to fight and die for your family. That's what I was taught. Okay, and what these laws that they bring, and they change history. Okay, they change the wording. You've seen that, right? All right, let's don't forget what it is. That word infringe, you can look it up if you want to, but it don't say nothing about felons or crazy people or nothing. These are laws that they've added to this, okay, over the 100, 200 years, 250 years. Well, there you go. There's a little short history on the Second Amendment. Leave it down in the comments if you agree with me or disagree with me. If you disagree with me, I tell you, show some evidence of what's wrong with what I say. All right, much love, everybody. I'll talk to you next. Remember, it's just my opinion anyway, okay? All right? I love you guys. Appreciate you. Live long and prosper. Come on back and see me again. Bye-bye for now.